RotoGrinders Today. I'm Jordan Cooper, a.k.a. BlenderHD, BlenderHD. You're going to follow me on Twitter. And it's Tuesday, January 7th, and we'll be taking a look at tonight's NBA DFS slate on DraftKings. So hit that thumbs up button on your way in the door. Give me those thummy thumbs. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell to know when we go live. Join with me, as always, on a Tuesday. It's Tuesdays with Tim. Alliteration there. Tuesdays with Tim Buell. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games on the DraftKings slate. They are including the 10 p.m. games. So we will maybe have late swap possibilities. But Tim, let's kind of get started. Is there anything that we need to pay attention with as far as injured players possibly on the injury report? I see our Q tags in lineup HQ. We got Jalen Green and Lauri Markkanen, it looks like. Even we got some Dejounte Murray, questionable, Koulibaly, Jordan Poole, Zion Williamson, who, I mean, I don't know. His Q tag is always kind of weird. So what are we, are these guys more likely to play, less likely to play? So what's going on here? What do we need to look for?
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of Q tags right now. Like half of the Washington Wizards team is questionable because right now they're not really that good of value, but huge value could open up with Washington. Obviously, you talked about Jalen Green. If he were to sit, Fred VanVleet would be amazing. Amen Thompson is already amazing. He would become borderline like a lock play. He's pretty close to that already. But if Jalen Green were to sit, then Amen Thompson would be an absolute smash at 6,600. Yeah, so the Pelicans are a little bit weird. We have Zion projected in. It would be his first game back in quite some time. So he'd probably be on a pretty big minutes limit. I'm not really sure about Murray. I think that one's kind of up in the air. I think he is truly questionable. I'm really not sure. I don't really have a lean on that Murray situation. But if Murray and Williamson were to sit, that would obviously catapult CJ McCollum into a very, very, very strong play. Another team that I think we should talk about are the Mavericks. No Luka, no Kyrie, and then they lost Gafford last night. And the other thing is they're not starting Spencer Dinwiddie anymore. At least they didn't last night. And they're not starting Jaden Hardy. They're actually starting Najee Marshall. So he's the point guard and he's small forward, power forward. So this Mavericks team is already showing up as a really, really strong value. So guys like Najee Marshall and Derek Lively, because there's no more Gafford, so he's not going to be splitting time with Gafford anymore. Lively's going to get all the minutes that he can handle. So guys like Najee Marshall and Derek Lively are going to be extremely, extremely strong values, and they're already showing up with pretty high ownership. So that's one thing to watch out for. The other thing is Dante DiVincenzo seems to have taken the starting role from Mike Conley. So he's 4,800. He gets point guard, shooting guard eligibility. We're assuming that he starts again. That really makes him a really strong value play as well. Assuming that Mike Conley doesn't retake that starting role from him. And then we haven't even talked about like probably the chalkiest team on the entire slate, and that's the Utah Jazz. No Jordan Clarkson, no John Collins, no Cavante George. So they're already missing 3 starters. I ran the Sims before the show. I'm sure Jordan, you can do that as well. Getting to an absolute ton of Colin Sexton. This is an amazing spot for him. He's only 6K. Getting to a ton of Isaiah Collier as well. So, I mean, this Utah team is going to be mega, mega popular. And then on the other side of this game, there's no Jalen Johnson for the Hawks. So Trae Young gets a massive usage bump. So you're getting to a ton of Trae Young as well in Sims. So this is definitely going to be like probably the heaviest owned game of the entire evening.
Well, it also makes sense. I mean, the total is 237, and like even with guys out, like you have like, oh, Jazz, they've got, they've starters out, like their blind team total is higher than some of the other teams that are favored in other games, like
Yep.
115.25. Like we mentioned, the Pelicans, like that's above the Pelicans. That's above, the Mavericks have a lot, even though with, them players out there, Washington. But I mean, yeah, I mean, other than like Boston and who else? I mean, is that it? I mean, Atlanta, Utah, Boston's at 120. Houston's at 118.5, and then it's Utah, even though they're like 6.5 point underdogs at home.
Right.
So as far as like a game stack is concerned, it seems like Sexton, Collier, Trae Young. I mean, that takes up a lot of guard spots. We have to maybe talk about some positional scarcity stuff when we move over to SimLabs. That
Yep.
like we take a look at all our current projections. If you're going to use a center spot with Lively at 5,100, and then you're going to play Trae Young as a pay up option at point guard, and then Colin Sexton in the mid range at 6K. Then Amon Thompson, you could throw in a small forward spot, and then you have Najee Marshall in a power forward spot. I mean, you start losing spots. I mean, you start running into, like you got like it paying up for like someone like Alperen Sengun at 9,300. I mean, we only chose ownership at 17%, even though we show him as a very good value. It's just that you only get 2 center spots, and if Lively's taking up a lot of those spots, there's only one other spot for him to fit in. But then, like, what the knock-on effect on this is that guys like Jason Tatum, Anthony Edwards, obviously Jokic. I mean, we have Jokic at like 2% owned. Like, imagine. I mean, he's 12.5. It's going to be very hard to fit him in. Not a great matchup at all. But like Steph Curry, 8,700. I mean, this is a big slate. I mean, this is a bit for a Tuesday, especially a lot of times we're talking about a 3 or 4 game slate. This is a slate where we got options. So like,
there's a lot going on this slate. It feels bigger,
right? So assuming like we're going to assume right now as of 11 a.m. That all the Q tag people are in. Now, obviously, that may change. That's why we have Grinders Live at 5 p.m., right? So check that out. We have crunch time right after that. So obviously, hit that notification bell. You'll know when we go live. And obviously, the projections will update based on who's in and who's out. And SimLabs will update based on that. But as of now, you played single entry type of smaller field types of contests.
Yep.
So you don't go absolutely crazy. Do you think guys especially let's talk about the center position. Do you think that you're going to have Lively in your lineup, no matter that, getting a $5,100 center that 1.5 plus point fantasy point per minute type is, you're just not going to pass that up at a center spot. It's much more likely that some of these point guards and shooting guards underperform than a center at that price.
I find it very unlikely, no matter what the news is, that I won't have Lively. I'm pretty much locking Lively in right now.
Would you say the same about Colin Sexton if these Utah guys?
No, not necessarily. I'm higher on Lively than I own Sexton, because I think there's other pretty decent guards around his price tag. But yeah, I mean, Sexton is clearly a very, very strong play, but I would rank Lively higher.
If you don't play Sexton, are you more likely to play someone else on Utah, or likely to just not play anyone on Utah?
No, I might play Isaiah Collier, or I might pivot to like a lower owned Lauri Markkanen in that same game. But I mean, I'm not 100% sure yet. But I mean, it's definitely a game. I definitely want to get exposure to Utah in some capacity in my single entry team. Definitely. Whether that be Sexton or not, I'm not sure. But I would not mind pivoting to Collier or Markkanen.
And if you don't have Sexton in your lineup, or let's say you didn't have any Jazz in your lineup, is that the best option to just not play Trae Young? Like, wouldn't the best option is that if you're going to play Utah and you're going to pay up for someone, pay up for Trae Young and hope the game goes over and is close, rather than just play Trae Young or just play the Jazz.
It's really hard for me not to want to play someone from Atlanta because Utah does have the worst defensive rating in all of the NBA, and they do have the highest total on the board. So I feel like I want somebody from Atlanta, and that somebody is probably going to be Trae Young. That's why I'm not crazy about. That's why I'm not locking in Sexton right now, because I'm probably going to be using a point guard spot on Trae Young. Now I know that I can play Sexton at shooting guard. I know I can play Collier at guard or whatever, but I mean, it's like I'm pretty confident that I want to be playing Trae at point guard.
Would it change your opinion if Jalen Green is out? Like, are you more or obviously you're more likely to play Amen Thompson if Jalen Green actually gets ruled out? But
Right.
do you think he's as much of a? I mean, he projects really well and he fits in a small forward spot. He's 6,600. If Jalen Green is out, that Fred VanVleet is more in play at 7,200, but maybe he doesn't end up being like a screaming you must jam him in at that price. But
yeah,
do you think that, I mean, we'll get the news. See, the thing is that it's a 7 p.m. game. So this whole Washington situation with Poole, and I mean, they got you guys, Koulibaly. With everyone maybe focusing on the Atlanta-Utah game, do you think just if Jalen Green is out, just playing multiple Houston players and then just not worrying about that game at all?
I can't imagine not worrying about the Utah Atlanta game. I just can't. I can't see a world where that I'm not going to worry about that game because it's such a good game. If Green were to miss, though, I mean, Amen Thompson would become the must play. FEV would obviously be really, really strong, but I don't think he'd become like an auto play. Whereas Thompson definitely would become an auto play. Brooks would look a lot better. Cam Whitmore would look really good as well. Alperen Şengün, he's kind of a weird play today because there's already really, really strong center spots. But I mean, what an absolutely amazing spot, especially if Green were to miss. Şengün would be a really, really strong GPP play. He already is right now. But I think, I mean, there's some really good centers on the slate. So I'm not really sure if his ownership gets completely out of hand.
Then we got a lot of mid-range plays. Anthony Edwards, Austin Reeves. Let's see, anyone else that shows up a bunch? I mean, not much on. I mean, Andrew Wiggins, I guess, 5,900. I mean, are you interested in any of these guys? I mean, I'm just sorting my ownership as of now, and we have Sexton up top at 43, Amen Thompson 35, Trae Young 30, Lively 30, Collier 27. Then we get Edwards at 24, Reeves at 21, Marshall at 20. Then we start getting into the teens, and there's a whole bunch of people in the teens. I mean, I didn't mention before. Is Najee Marshall necessarily a must play in your lineup?
I think he's pretty close given his role and his positional, power forward, center, small forward eligibility. I think that's a really, really strong play, and he's only 4,600. I think he's pretty close to a must play as things sit right now. Definitely somebody that I'd be strongly considering in my primary single entry team. I mean, he's gonna play minutes in like the low 30s. It's a pretty decent matchup. Their team total isn't great, but they are at home. They're only 6-point dogs. He should get plenty of usage. So I think he's pretty close to a must play.
Well, I switched over to SimLabs, which you could get on its own or as part of the combo light package. For one low price, you get SimLabs for all 4 major sports, plus all of our premium written content. Click on that link in the description, get more information. It'll also, I mean, we have run SimLabs, and we're gonna look at some lineups. but we also get these charts of the optimal versus projected ownership. And looking at these, I mean, you have to understand, I say this all the time when it comes to ownership, that it's not about chalk and not chalk. It's about over-owned and under-owned. So you could say that, oh, Colin Sexton, 43% owned, right? Projected owned right as of now at 11 in the morning. I'm just going to fade the chalk. I'm just going to fade him at 43%. Well, according to SimLabs, he's actually still positive leverage at 43% owned. That he should be. His optimal rate is more like 45%, like more like 46, 47%. So it shows up here that he's actually positive leverage. Someone who's negative leverage is Isaiah Collier and Trae Young and Austin Reeves, right?
Yeah.
Who are less owned, who are more owned than their optimal rate. Now, Trae Young is, I mean, it's not like they can't possibly be optimal. Like Collier, it shows 10.9, so about 11 points lower. He's optimal 11% lower than his ownership. Well, his ownership is 28, which means he's optimal 17% of the time, which is still pretty high for a slate like this. So it doesn't mean that you can't play him, but you're going to see when you run SimLabs lineups of which ones, rate out the best, that you're going to get less Collier, less Young, less Reeves, especially them combined together. So that's at point guard. So if we look at the most over-owned power forwards, we got, PJ Washington, Kyle Kuzma, Miles Bridges, Julius Randle, right? Not much as far as like the chalky guys that are a little too chalky. At the shooting guard position, Amen Thompson, Anthony Edwards.
That doesn't surprise me about Thompson. He's going to be so high owned. I bet he still has a pretty decent optimal rate though, like somewhere around like 20%. Yeah.
Small forward, say Amen Thompson. I mean, he's probably going to be more owned than you think, only because he's eligible at a guard and a forward position, so he could fit in a lot more spots. And then at the center position, Şengün actually.
Oh, wow.
Lively over-owned.
Yeah, Lively being over-owned doesn't surprise me just because he is going to be really, really chalky.
Over-owned.
Yeah.
Now, when we run SimLabs, it's not like we're not going to get these players. It's just that you're probably not going to get them all together. Right. It's going to come down to it. You could be like, I want to play Derek Lively, but it's unlikely that you're probably going to get a lot of the other over-owned players. You may have to decide that, I don't want to play a Lively Amen Thompson lineup, and it'd be like, SimLabs is going to tell you those lineups may not be as good as you think. So let's go to small field. Let's go to medium results range. Let's just use defaults, whatever. So for you, what do you consider Lively to be? Now, who do you consider in your lineup? You're building one lineup, right? We're generating 20. But this is how you could use the tool to build 1, 2, 3 lineups. Or you could do this multiple times with different settings and build, and look at 100 lineups and then save the ones that you like and then play 20 of them. I mean, like, it's not just, you could use this tool in a multitude of ways. So if we're thinking about building a small field, 2,000, 3,000 entry type of field, type of lineup, we're building one lineup. Let's say it's, like the $88 contest, $55 contest. So what players, like out of the chalky players, which one would you prefer that maybe you just don't play?
Probably. I mean, I guess this is kind of a bold take, but probably Sexton as of right now, because I want to lock in Trae Young, Lively, and Thompson.
Okay, Trae Young, Lively.
I don't know how many lineups we're gonna get though. If I exclude Sexton, SimLabs are gonna be like, "You're stupid."
Right. Let's see. I mean, but you never know. You never know until you're running it.
Right.
What lineups of this configuration do show up as, more profitable? No, we got some. 84,
that's not bad.
Right? No, and it's being able to generate a bunch, so it's not like it's working. I mean, towards the end, you're gonna get these at the end. But look, you got 2% on CJ McCollum in your lineup, right? You got Najee Marshall, Lively, Russell Westbrook, Sensabaugh, Trey. Yeah, SimLabs has a hard on for Trace Jackson Davis.
Yep.
On the Warriors. Shows him as
Yep.
like the highest leverage play on the whole slate, regardless of position. So I'm assuming that's what this is.
It's probably because he can match Lively at a fraction of the ownership. It's probably
right. So you play
why.
both. Well, you play both of them together. That's
right.
I mean, that's what we'd be doing here.
Yeah.
Here's a Jalen Green lineup. I'm assuming you probably wouldn't want to. Don't play Green and Thompson together.
I think you can in this matchup, actually, Jordan. I think you can, just because this matchup is so good. Obviously, if Green sits, though, Thompson's ownership is going to be off the charts, but I'm going to lock him in anyway. I don't care.
Here's one with Fred VanVleet.
Yep.
Van Vliet and Thompson, assuming this would be the one. This would be the lineup if Jalen Green sits, right?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Oh, I really like that lineup.
Right, you get Markkanen in here, assuming he plays.
Yeah.
Markkanen would be leverage off of Sexton.
Exactly.
Van Vliet would be if whatever if Jalen Green doesn't play, and then you get Vit Krejci in there, just whatever because the Hawks are short.
Yep.
No, this probably wouldn't be that bad of a lineup, right?
Yeah, I do like that. I like the lineup.
So even without playing Colin Sexton and playing, Chalky, Lively, Thompson, and Young, there are. I mean, these are lineups that work out. I mean, they project well. I mean, you see all the ratings here. That pretty damn good to me, right?
Yep. No, those are good looking lineups.
So let's say we do the opposite. So let's say we fade. So let's say we fade Trae Young. Let's say we don't play. So who do you have to exclude on Utah? So we want we're just getting rid of the Atlanta game completely.
So Sexton, Collier, Markkanen. I'll be really curious if we get anything.
Right? Is there anyone else that on Utah or Atlanta that comes up on Okonkwo, I guess?
Okay, Okonkwo, yeah.
Sensabaugh.
Yep.
Let's put them in. I mean, they're obviously, they're not like huge values, but they're enough that they may still show up in some lineups.
And Krejci.
Oh yeah, Vit.
Yeah, Vit.
Okay, so we're just going to exclude all of them and go. Okay, let's see what lineups don't contain that game that still rate out well in SimLabs. Right. You can do that. You could lock players. I mean, at some point, it's gonna break if you start putting in way too many people. I mean, yeah, it doesn't show. I mean, it really kind of tells you once we see these ratings start going down that excluding everyone from that game probably not the best.
Yeah,
I mean,
I can't imagine fading that game.
Right. I mean, basically, you get some Warriors, you get Anthony Edwards, you get Marcy and Lively, you get Drew. I mean, this lineup looks okay. But like this relies on the fact that like no one in that other game like does well. I'm surprised these lineups don't have Thompson in them. Because I see Lively. Here's one with time. I mean, this doesn't look all that good. So I'm going to put an Eamon Thompson up here. So we're going to play Thompson. I'm going to put the result range on high, so we at least get more, and I'm going to put it up to 50. Just it gives it more to choose from. Okay, so I mean, Eamon Thompson, you get playing Reeves and James, and no lively. Basically, it's almost telling you that you. Okay, here's an Eamon Thompson lively lineup.
Yep.
But you're not a big fan of these lineups as much.
No, I really can't do it. I cannot see fading that Atlanta Utah game. I cannot see all those guys like busting. I can see multiple of them putting up GPP winning scores though.
So why don't we go in the other direction? Why don't we exclude Eamon Thompson and Lively?
Okay.
and see what it's like. Okay,
This will be interesting, I bet.
And maybe put in Jalen Green, put in Fred VanVleet, put in Sengun. Like we don't want any of the Rockets. Koulibaly is there. We don't
Pool.
just don't want. Is there anyone else that we need to exclude from the Houston?
You might want to exclude Jordan Poole. And
I don't even project well enough. I don't.
Well, Kuzma projects pretty well. Might want to exclude him.
Okay, so Kuzma. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, we got Green, Thompson, and Sengun. So we put Kuzma in. So just not playing that game at all, right?
Yep.
And I'm assuming it's going to show me tons of Atlanta.
Right.
Let's see. So let's run this. And you can see that it takes a matter of seconds, and you could save lineups. You could import them into Lineup HQ. You could do a lot of things with this. So yeah, I mean, look at the ratings of these lineups.
These are pretty good. These are pretty good lineups too.
So you get Sexton, Collier, Trae Young.
Yep, love that.
Get some Boston guys.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like Boston. It seems like is that the under-owned game? Boston, Denver.
Yeah, because look at that total. I mean, it's pretty close to the other higher totals. It's very, very close. So I mean, I don't mind getting exposure to that game.
Some Austin Reeves lineups, right? If you're looking, I mean, these lineups. See, the thing about these lineups, though. Oh yeah, okay. We're basically excluding Lively, Eamon Thompson. I mean, you can still get Najee Marshall in there. You got Sexton, Young, Collier, Sensabaugh in there. Are you really down with? Is Trace Jackson Davis? You got in this lineup.
Yep.
You play a 10K Jason Tatum, who should be underowned.
He'll be very, very, very underowned.
No, SimLabs is showing these lineups to be pretty damn good.
Yep. I would definitely go this direction than to fade this game. You know,
so
I'd rather fade Houston.
You'd much rather fade if, let's just say, if Jalen Green plays, you'd be much more comfortable fading Eamon Thompson than the Utah Atlanta game.
Yeah. And I think SimLabs is showing that that's the correct way to go.
And let's say you say, I want to play Atlanta, Utah, and I want to play Lively.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather play Eamon Thompson or assuming Jalen Green is in? You prefer to play Eamon Thompson, and instead of playing Lively, play someone like Trace Jackson Davis. But if Green is out, if
Green's out, you have to play Thompson. If I was making 150 teams, I'd probably have him in 150 teams. Just to be honest with you. So yeah. I mean, he's already projecting amazing with the Green in. So.
Right. His RGV, his salary adjusted value plus minus, is the second highest on the slate at about 6.
Right. With Green in projections.
Right, with Green in projections, which means his usage will go up enough that he will project probably for even like 6 points higher than that.
Yeah.
So he would be at a 12, which typically at RGV, salary adjusted plus minus, once they get up to like double digits, those are the guys where you just press that lock button into all your lineups and you hope he doesn't get injured.
Right. Like that's what I would honestly do.
Right, because
I don't make 150. Right, I know, but he's gonna stay there. We already have the news for Utah. We don't have the news for Houston yet.
So, is there anything else that we should be looking at for this upcoming slate? Are you gonna be on Grinders Live later today?
I don't think I am. I'm going to be on tomorrow. I'm not going to be on today. It doesn't look like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But your take is the Atlanta If you're going to play a GPP today, no matter what the size is on a 7-game slate, someone from that Atlanta-Utah game will be on the winning lineup, if not multiple people.
I would make a rule. I'd say min 2 from that game. If I'm making a rule in a lineup HQ, I'm getting min 2 from that game. No question about it.
And then
it doesn't have to be Sexton, but I mean, there's other guys you can play. But I would get to min 2 of that game.
And is the sneaky game, even though like no one like projects great for their salary, it's more efficient, would be the Celtics Nuggets game.
I think that game is very, very sneaky, and I think SimLabs just showed a really good example of that. So I think there's a lot of sneaky plays in that Boston Denver game.
235 total. So
yeah, it's very close. It's very close to the Atlanta Utah total, which is 237.
The only difference is obviously the players in the game that have higher salaries. I mean, just
correct.
That's really why it projects less because Tatum is 10K and Jokic is, and you got Jamal Murray. You got all these. I mean, guys that like aren't like values. They're all like they're efficiently priced, but they all can have ceilings. So is Boston Denver the type of game that I want to stack? And I want to play 4 or 5 guys from? No, but I think you could play 1 or 2 guys. You could play, Tatum on one side and 2 Nugget players on the other side that aren't Jokic. Something like that, just like it shows in SimLabs.
Yep, I like that a lot.
Okie doke. Tomorrow, I don't know who's on with me tomorrow, but we'll do a preview of the first round of the NFL playoffs. We may talk about multiple slates. We may talk about the Saturday slate and the Sunday slate. I don't know. But I'm going to treat the Sunday slate as like the main slate. Thursday, Grant should be on. I'll do props and pick them. Friday, GPP strategy, especially for small slates. GPP strategy should be important because we're not going to treat the Sunday 3-game slate. We treat it more like the Thanksgiving slate or like the Christmas slate where we're getting different. It's hard. It seems at first, but you could do certain things heuristically that the field will not do, even playing chalkier players. But we'll talk about that on Friday. So, Tim, anything else you got going on throughout the week?
No, but I do have 2 props that I bet. I did bet Derek Lively over 9.5 points, and I bet where did it go? Real quick. Max Christie under 3.5 rebounds. And that was right from the shot quality props model, the Christie bet.
Yep, that's also in the RG prop model as well. You could get as part of the props and pick'em package here if you're doing that and not even playing DFS. We got all the stuff here. You get the combo premium package, you get everything. So click on that link in the description. You'll get like $40 off your first month of that. We'd love to have you here. Join the Discord. Tim's always in the NHL Discord. There's NHL tonight, right? I haven't even checked. It's Tuesday. There should be a big slate, right?
Yeah. Pretty sure. Yeah. It's gonna be a good slate.
So hang out with Tim in our Discord, rotogrinders.com/Discord. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out the door. Give me those thumbs. Hit that subscribe button if you're new here. Hit the notification bell to always know when I go live because I'm here for you. 11 o'clock in the morning, talking all things you're thinking about in daily fantasy, props, and pick'em on RotoGrinders Today.